Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I have some more budget meal ideas for you. These are two meals from my Lidl haul that I did a couple of weeks ago. This was supposed to be 3 meals but is actually only 2 now. I'm sorry about that, but I had some technical issues and managed to delete half the footage. So I'm sorry, we are stuck with 2. I'm making chicken meatballs today and I'm also doing a sticky beef. So getting started with the chicken meatballs, I'm doing a double batch of the chicken meatballs, so I'm actually only going to be using half of this for my family tonight and the rest of it I'm going to freeze. Starting with 500 grams of chicken breast mince. I've blitzed up 5 slices of bread here. This is around about 200 grams of breadcrumbs that I'm adding in, and I've also put 2 stock cubes in. As I was blitzing up the bread, I popped 2 stock cubes in to blend those in with it as well. It just adds a bit more flavour to it. Then I'm adding some salt and some pepper and some basil, lots of basil. And then you want to give that a really good mix all together. I would normally put an egg in here as well, but I've really struggled to get them recently, so I just don't have any. So I'm doing it without eggs, and it does work. It still does work without them. You just need to really make sure that you're mixing everything together really well. Sometimes I add cheese to this. You can also add any herbs and spices that you want to this. So once you've mixed this all together really well, then you just want to roll it out into balls. I just put a bit of oil onto my hands, which just stops it sticking. So I ended up with 27 meatballs. I did them quite small though. It's just how the girls like them, so it's how I make them. You still do get a decent amount if you do bigger meatballs as well. Then I'm going to pop some oil into my pan. I'm using quite a decent amount of oil here because I do want to sort of flavour the oil a bit. I'm going to use the same pan to make the sauce. I'm then just going to brown off the meatballs. It's okay if they don't cook right through now. This is just about getting them browned off. And then I'm going to pop them on a plate to one side while I start making the sauce. I'm doing a tomato-based sauce with this. To the pan, I'm going to add about 100 grams of diced onions. I'm using frozen onions, but fresh is just as good. Then I'm going to pop in a cube of garlic. This is the co-fresh garlic from Tesco's. You get 40 of these pieces for £1, so it works out really good value. Each one is the equivalent to 4 cloves, I believe. So it's a really good amount of garlic that you're able to add in one cube. And then I'm just adding some mixed herbs. And then I'm going to pop a stock cube in here. And then I'm just going to mix that up, let the onions soften a bit. And then some passata. I'm just going to let that come up to the boil. And then I'm going to pop the meatballs back in and just allow them to heat through. And I'm also going to top this with some sliced fresh mozzarella and pop the lid on so that can melt. While that's heating through and the cheese is melting, I'm just going to cook up some spaghetti and then serve. So these meals they don't come into the bracket of under 50p per head, but they are both really budget friendly. The chicken meatballs comes in at £2.44, which is 61p per head for my family of 4. That does include everything that I serve it with. So this is a really decent filling meal, and we actually ended up with some leftovers of this as well. Moving on to the sticky beef. I've started with some lean diced beef. Usually I would use stewing steak for this, but I managed to find some beef on clearance, so I picked that up, and so that's what I'm using this time. It just goes into my pressure cooker or instant pot. I then just want to coat the beef with a teaspoon of cornflour and just mix that over. And then I chop 2 shallots. I would usually use onion, but I happen to have shallots, so that's what I'm using. Then I pop the shallots in, give that a mix around, and then I will put that on the saute function on the Instant Pot for 3 minutes, just to let it start to brown slightly. Then I'll dice a couple of carrots and pop those in as well. And then I add a really decent squidge of golden syrup. I'm using about 20 grams worth here, but you can use as much or as little as you'd like. We do like it relatively sweet, so I do use quite a bit. Then adding some soy sauce. This is about 3 teaspoons that I'm adding. Again, this is to taste. Pop in a garlic cube. Again, this is one of the frozen garlic cubes, the co-fresh ones from Tesco's. And then some ginger powder. You can use any type of ginger for this. I then add just enough water to cover the meat, and then I want to pressure cook this for 15 minutes. Just before that's ready, I take some frozen broccoli. You can use fresh broccoli, any that you have, and I just chop it slightly smaller. And then when the beef has finished cooking, I can take the lid off, add in the frozen broccoli and saute for a further 3 minutes. This is a really simple, easy meal to do. It turned out relatively liquid this time. Usually I would give an extra 3 minutes on the saute function just to cook off some of that water. But this time we were running a bit late, so we went with it as is. It was still absolutely delicious. If you find that your sauce is a little runny, you can always add a little bit more corn flour. Just make sure that you mix it into a slurry first. So a teaspoon of corn flour and a little bit of cold water mixed together rather than putting the corn flour straight in, as it will clump if you do it that way. This is a really tasty dish and you can add in whatever vegetables you have. I tend to use onions and carrots and then green beans or broccoli, and it's so simple. It also works really well in the slow cooker as well. The total for the beef was £3.75, so that came in at 94p per head for my family of 4. As I say, we were running late. Ian was pushing his luck for work, so he ended up taking his with him. And then the girls and I had it plated up with noodles. Olivia wanted spaghetti, so she had spaghetti with hers. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will be back soon with another one, and I will see you then. Bye!